Welcome, everybody. I'm here with Cindy Ralston from the Tulsa area. Cindy has been part of the teacher walkout and became a little bit internet famous well, actually, why don't you tell us what happened?
Well, I had decided to run because of the state of education in Oklahoma and stepping out to advocate for my students in a different way. And Tuesday, a week ago Tuesday, the representative for my district actually went on Facebook Live and posted what might be called a rant.
And it's taken down now, but we can probably find it, right?
Yes, it came down that day, but he was telling the teachers that he was not going to vote for another stinking thing for teachers and education. He was not happy about the way that we were in this house. He told us that we were leading the children by example, and we were not setting a good example, basically, for our children, and I disagree.
And so you decided to set a different example.
I decided that it's time for students and parents and community and all Oklahomans to understand that we can petition our government. We can come and have peaceful protest. That is our house, the people of Oklahoma's house, and they need to be a little more responsive to what the people want. So I'm hoping that this has changed and people are more aware that they can affect change and we need to affect change, and they can step up and tell us what's needed.
And that brings us to why you're here, which is at the Omnishorum Hotel in Washington for a training put on by the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, the PCCC. So when did you decide to challenge him?
I decided, it's probably now been about a month. My son, Joshua Martin, is running for House District 70 in Midtown Tulsa, and I was at a training to learn how to help his campaign. And they found out I was a teacher and talked to me about the possibility had I ever thought about running, and I went, no, I am a teacher. I know. And they just kept talking to me and kind of planted that seed. And with the way that the legislature has not really been responding to teachers' requests for the past 10 years, we've lost 28% of our funding and has been cut from our budget, and we have gained over 50,000 students in that same time period, and they haven't been listening to us. So after learning how to help him in his campaign, I decided after that seed was planted, maybe I need to step out and do it a different way.
Now, there have been correct me if I'm wrong, 6 special elections since Trump was elected in Oklahoma. 4 of them have flipped to Democrats in districts that Republicans had won before by miles and miles and miles. So how Republican is the district that you're running in? And that doesn't matter, apparently, because there are guys that were winning by 30 points that have since gone on to lose. But how Republican is this district?
It is a Republican district. The Democrats had held that district for years before. This is
that was the old school, like conservative, populist-ish Democrats, not like
right. The representative that held it was what they would call kind of middle ground and voted with Republicans on a lot of things, and so it's kind of a rural county that has leaned more toward the left.
We did a story recently at The Intercept that looked at Oklahoma, Kentucky, and West Virginia. The 3 states plus Arizona looks like it's around the corner, but those 3 states have had the biggest teacher walkouts, these kind of grassroots uprisings. They also are states that are dominated by fossil fuel industries. Do you think that is a coincidence?
I do not think that is a coincidence. We have struggled to get the gross production tax. We've asked that the gross production tax.
This is the tax on wells, right?
Oil, yes, right. Yes, oil and gas wells. They have had dropped that during the recession to 2%, and we have asked continually that it be brought back up to what it was previously, which was 7%. That has definitely hurt us, and serving the corporations and those fossil fuel industries has not served well for our public agencies at all. And they did just pass that they would put it up to 5%. But we were talking to the legislators about why are you not bringing it to 7? Why not back where it was? And they had been told by a lot of the industry people that that would just break them, and that they would have to fire people, and that they couldn't handle it. George Kaiser is an oil man, and he has talked with us in the party about, and all the legislators there, they don't look at gross production tax when they're looking where to drill. They are looking for production. And he said it doesn't matter what the tax is that we have to pay. We're looking at how much production we can get out of that area. So that didn't play well with teachers.
Right. It just seems so obvious. If there's something that's worth money in the ground, and they can pull it out of the ground, and you can keep either 90% of it or 95% of it or 98% of it. If it's only 90, you're still going to pull the money out of the ground. It's still money. Who's the other oil tycoon? Harold Hamm. So Harold Hamm personally came. So the teachers came to the Capitol. Harold Hamm put his monopoly hat on and came to the Capitol to leer at his lawmakers. What was that like to see the actual tycoon himself get his hands dirty like that?
It was frustrating to watch him on that front row of the gallery, looking down at them and knowing that it would not go any higher than 5% because that's what was allowed.
And the 5% is still the lowest in the country. And I'd love to see them try to argue, well, if you don't let us drill here, then we're going to go somewhere else where we can drill for cheaper. Well, go ahead and drill. You drill where the oil is and where the gas is.
We're letting a phenomenal, valuable resource leave Oklahoma, and some of the wells we actually were paying them to drill. I don't.
And they're leaving you with earthquakes too. Tell us about the earthquakes. Do they hit Tulsa now too?
Yes. Oh yes. My house, I live out in far east Broken Arrow, and my house now has cracks all through it. My son lives in Tulsa. We just had 2 quakes that happened last week, and they have. Facebook blows up. Did everybody feel it? And we're still feeling it, even though they have said that they have shut down all the different things that were causing the damage and the quakes. We're still having multiple quakes that, funny enough, they're not responsible for, and insurance won't pay for it because it's a man-made earthquake.
It's man-made, but the man who made it isn't going to pay for it. How can people follow your campaign, and what's next for you?
They can follow my campaign at Ralston4OK.com is my website.
And where does the strike go from here, the walkout go from here? So they offered a $6,000 raise to teachers and less to aides, right? And $1,200 for aides. So teachers don't think it's enough, right? What's next?
It's not the raise that the teachers don't think is okay. We asked for $200 million to be put back into the general education budget. That's where we were in 2008. We just asked to go back to where we were in 2008. We have no textbooks. All of the resources we're really struggling. They put $50 million in for us, and that's really what the walkout was about. We thank them for the raises. We haven't had a raise in 10 years, so we thank them for that, but that was not the ask for teachers, and that's why we walked. It's about our kids and the resources that we need to educate the children to be able to compete in this society. We are on day 9 right now, and most districts vote day by day. I know that Haskell Public Schools is voted that we're already out tomorrow. I don't know what the vote is for next week yet. They haven't posted that. It's very frustrating. They're not moving. They're not even calling education bills in to hear them at all. So everybody's sitting there and they're not even discussing education anymore. It may come down. I don't know. I don't know what the vote is yet, but it may come down to the fact that teachers care about their students and they know that there are a lot of kids in places where they're not getting food that they would get at school, and so a lot of teachers are feeling that heart pull back to this classroom. So hopefully this has brought attention to what is going on in the legislature and that people will remember that when they go to the polls. And please go to the polls November 6th. Please go to the polls. And they'll remember that and they will vote the people out that did not support education. And we can get those in that do support education. And then we'll go from there, and we will fully fund it at the beginning of session next year if that happens.
All right, and last question. Did this walkout happen in some type of an activism vacuum, or would you say that it's the activism that's been happening around the country since Trump's election, beginning with the Women's March, the Indivisible group formations, and kind of this kind of big resurgence that's been happening on the left? Did that kind of feed into what you're seeing now, or is it proper to think of this as something separate?
I would probably say that just that thought process and seeing all of those things happen may have had something to do with it. It actually started on social media. There's a Stillwater, Oklahoma teacher that started a Facebook page, a teacher walkout, and April 2nd was the date picked because by law in Oklahoma, education funding has to happen by April 1st, and they've only done that once since 1990. So that was why that April 2nd deadline was set for us. Alberto Morjan started that Facebook page, and I think at the moment I looked at it last night, and it's almost 80,000 people, and there are people from all over the nation now. It's a closed group, but we've got a lot of people, teachers, supporting us from all over the nation. I think that it was a little of both, probably. He stated what a lot of the frustrations were and used social media to bring the teachers of Oklahoma together, and he did an amazing job getting all of it coordinated and all of the things that we needed to get it to happen, and we did it.
Well, best of luck with the rest of your walkout and with your campaign too. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.